Hey everybody, thanks for joining us here at the Milt Talk Podcast. I'm Jack Stroman, and I'm here with my co-hosts Warner Williams, Agoy Mbima, and Jessica Corrado-Platt. We all graduated from a private boarding school that was founded by the chocolate mogul Milton Snavely Hershey and his wife Catherine. In this show, we'll be talking with some of the former students, their family members, and loved ones, in addition to former employees, teachers, and administrators who all worked there at some point in time. We'll get to hear their stories in their own words, and it's our hope and wish that you'll hear something in these stories that you can relate to, whether you went to the school or not. Enjoy. Welcome to Milt Talk Podcast. This is our new name, or we can edit that out. I don't know. We're kind of playing with it. What is a Milt? A lot of people ask, what the hell is a Milt? Well, Milt is short for Milton Snavely Hershey. Mr. Hershey is the creator and founder of the Hershey Foods Corporation. He and his wife, many years ago, started a school for underprivileged kids, and almost everybody in the room right now, we're all Milts. And so we decided to do this podcast and talk to people about their experience and, what it means to them to be a Milt, to have been a Milt, and that's why we're here today. So we want to welcome Sue Grippen. Hi, Sue.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And we've been talking a little bit while the microphone was off, but Sue, could you tell us what year you graduated?
Okay, I graduated in 1983.
All right. And where are you from originally?
Philadelphia, Northeast.
Oh, you're from the Northeast. Okay. And do you remember your first day at school?
I remember it. I don't think anybody will ever forget their first day at Milton Hershey School.
What was the date?
Oh, God. That I don't remember. I'm really bad. We were all supposed to shut off our phones.
See? And that's Milt talk right there, calling Agoy out on his phone.
It's probably you.
No, but so do you remember the date?
It was July. I do not remember the actual date. I'm really bad about that. But I can remember everything else except for that.
Paint the picture for me.
Okay, so I remember I was dropped off at Student Home Conestoga. My house parents were the Nelsons. My first person I met she wound up being my best friend in the Milt. It was Liz Gilliam. We were one of the first student homes. There was 2 student homes in intermediate division. I was one of those.
Okay.
So I was one of the first girls. Junior division was first, and then intermediate division had 2 student homes that were
Which were Conestoga and Lenape?
Not Lenape. Was it Lenape?
So I was in Iroquois, which was right next to Conestoga.
Yeah,
so
no, there was only one. Wasn't there one? Oh, there was one over there. I forgot about that one.
That was my favorite part about being in Iroquois is we
yes,
had girls
you had
on both
2.
sides.
Isn't that funny? No, and I was thinking, was it Franklin? I'm trying to think across the cluster. There was another one. I can't.
Well,
I don't.
It changed so many times, but in that cluster, Arrowhead, you had Shawnee, you had Tuscarora,
Yep.
You had Nanacoke, Lenape, Muncie, Iroquois, and Conestoga. Well, how I remember all that, I don't know, but
definitely Conestoga was one. I just don't remember the other one, which is awful, but I just don't remember it.
And so did Mom have to trick you to get up there? Did you know it was coming? What was
I
your first
actually know it was
impression?
coming.
Okay.
My brother was in 8th grade. We went to Catholic school. He was getting into trouble. So they had suggested Milton Hershey for him. And then when my mom looked into it, they were accepting girls at that time. So, she asked me if I wanted to go. If I didn't like it, I could come home. Long story short, once you got there, you weren't leaving there.
No, it's the setup.
Yes.
Did they tell you about the limousines and the horses? And all
It was
that
horses.
Yeah,
horses got me there.
They hook you with something.
Yes.
We all
it
talk
was the
about
horses.
that.
Yes.
All right. And so did your brother go to the Milt as well?
My brother actually went to the Milt. He did not last long, but he went to the Milt.
That was the next question. I feel like a lot of us have brothers and sisters that didn't make it to the end. Makes them no less a Milt to me, I feel like. But, we were talking about Randy Whitney earlier and his father and his brother, they all went. And he didn't graduate, but, he was there since he was 3 years old. So I think about those people who have that experience, and there's no way to quantify. There's no cutoff. Well, you had to do 6 months at least to be called a Milt. So,
right. If you experienced it, I think you experienced it.
So I know you're working with the Alumni Association. Is that correct?
Yes.
The Philadelphia chapter?
Somewhat.
Okay. Loosely, unofficially.
Correct.
But you've been helping with organize all of that, right?
I was very involved. I was very involved with the association and the Philadelphia chapter.
Okay.
For a long time, and then I kind of branched off to do my own thing.
So, but you're still active in
I'm
organizing
very active.
Milts.
Very,
and,
extremely.
Okay. And so, when did you decide to do that? What was the catalyst to kind of, get involved and want to, get these Milts together or come to Philadelphia? Because I know you're in Ocean City, right?
Correct.
So it's still a little bit of a trek for you.
Yes. So the way I really got involved was there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Billy Kosky. He passed away. He created the cancer care fund that we have. He started all that. He actually died of cancer. So I was friends with Billy, and he called me up one day and said, you have to come up to the chapter. We need a secretary, blah, 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 blah. And that's how I got involved. So I came up to a meeting, and then I got really involved. I was very involved.
I was going to say, because you've actively been organizing people. I know, we've had Philippa on. We've had John Mueller on. They were involved as well. So now we're back to the point where we're talking about how this is almost a second job,
Yes.
organizing and contacting and keeping people, aware of or something changes, like tonight, sending addresses and where to park and, all that stuff. So I commend you for, because we need that. When I see the pictures on Facebook, I see young Milts, I see older Milts, and everybody looks happy, like, they're at recreation or, at homecoming or something like that. Like it looks fun.
I really, my whole mission has always been to embrace alumni. So let me just give you a little idea. When I started with the Philadelphia chapter, the very first meeting I attended, I was not welcome with welcome arms. It was, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not putting anybody down. I'm just saying that from that day when one person came up and gave me a hug, which doesn't matter. Some people didn't know me, some people, whatever. I always felt it was very important to make alumni feel welcome, and it didn't matter your background, where you came from, how old you were, how young you were. I just want us all to embrace one another for just being alumni.
Yeah.
So that has always been my mission.
I think that's important. I mean, we were talking about how the Milt itself, how Pete is the president now, and how that's changed the dynamic of feeling comfortable coming back up as an alumni or somebody who went to the Milt, whereas some of the past presidents, whether they did it purposefully or didn't do it purposefully, weren't as welcoming.
Right.
And when you put the time in,
you want to feel comfortable. Absolutely.
Welcome.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that. And I think we talked about it earlier. We'd like to have you come back on a regular basis, suggest some guests for us. We want this to be an open forum for Milts, whether you just graduated last year or you graduated 100 years ago. This is supposed to be welcoming to you, and we want to hear from you, and we want to hear your story. So, we're going to be announcing our Instagram and Facebook and all that social media stuff, and, hopefully you guys out there will reach out to us and, let us know your story. So your best friend from the Milt, you were saying, are you still tight with her?
Well, Lizzo died a couple years ago.
I'm sorry.
Yes. So, but we were, after we graduated high school, we lived together for a little bit. Then, as life comes, you go your separate ways, but we were always tight. She was always, I had like 3 really good, tight people from school that I remained after school, but unfortunately 2 of those 3 passed. So, but that's just,
It's tough. I mean, I know we just graduated in 1990. What's next year, our 30th? Something like that. And we've lost people, a couple people. And as you get older, they don't tell you about that when you're a kid, like adulting isn't all that it's cracked up to be. It's not all fun and traveling and glitter and unicorns, all that good stuff. We want to hear some of your stories when you were at the Milt. Is there... So you got there in intermediate division, so no junior division for you.
No junior division.
Okay, and so did you only stay in Conestoga? Did you move to any other student homes?
In intermediate division, just Conestoga. I was just in Conestoga, yes.
And then senior division?
Okay, so my story, I did not like the Milt at all. I absolutely, positively hated being at Milton Hershey School. So the way I kind of look at it now, because I was very mean back there. I was not a nice person at all. And I'll be honest, people will tell you, they will come out and tell you I was not a nice person.
Defense mechanism?
I think now that I'm older and I look back, we were all thrown in situations. So it was basically, do or die.
That's
so you're either going to be the one that's picked on or you're going to be the one that's picking on.
That's right.
I'm embarrassed sometimes of my behavior when I was there, but I understood or I understand why I did. It was just self-preservation.
We were also kids.
We
you're
were
just
kids,
trying to
but
figure
it was
out how to get
exactly,
through.
Yes. So senior vision, I wound up in a lot of homes. I was probably 4. I'm surprised I was never kicked out.
Wow.
I ran away.
All right.
I got home. My mom drove me right back to school. I'm trying to think. It was bad. I was bad.
You can laugh, Jess. It's all right. We want to hear. Because you can relate. You know what?
Oh.
You made it all the way home and your mom brought you back.
Yeah, I was really upset because Halloween was that night.
So you remember it vividly. That's the stuff
very.
that I want to hear about.
I can't even believe we made it. We walked all the way down. I ran away with 2 other girls. And we walked all the way down to 322, hitchhiked the turnpike all the way to Northeast Philly. Yeah. We had them drop us off a block by my house, but not at my house. Because at that point, that 2.5, 3 hours later, I'm like, oh, maybe he'll kill us. So maybe we should just go a block away. But yes. So got home. We passed out, and then my mom came home from work and put us in the car and drove us back to Milton Hershey. So yeah, and then we were like 30 and 30.
Yeah. So explain to the people what 30 and 30 are. A lot of our listeners, even though they're Milts, some of them, even the newer Milts, you soft punk. I'm sorry. You guys don't know what it was about. Can you explain to the people what 30 and 30 was?
30 and 30 meant 30 days of restrictions. You couldn't go out. Privileges. You had to be in the student home for 30 days. And then you also had 30 hours of work. So, on the weekends you could do 2 or 3 hours of your work, but you had to complete 30 hours of work before you can get off at 30-30. But you had to be restricted for 30 days.
And I always compare, this is getting old at this point, but I compare the Milt to being in college, the military, and being incarcerated, because you got someone telling you where to be, what to wear, what to do, who your new best friend is. This is your new roommate. You better work it out. I don't care if you guys don't get along. So when you're saying 30 days of restrictions, I don't think people realize what that means, because you live to go to recreation, or you live to go to this sporting event. Oh, we're going to go to this basketball game. There's this chick that I've been wanting to hit on, well, guess what? For the next month,
you're not doing anything.
You're going to be looking at this wall.
Right.
You're going to look at your Michael Jordan poster.
Right.
And then when you get tired of that, we're going to need you to come do these dishes again. Help us birth this calf out here, and then mow that acre.
And the daffodils. We used to had to, pick what was that called? I forget. It was
the
like
weeding
weed.
stuff.
Weed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the implement.
You're doing it. For the people at home, she's actually doing it. She just went into automatic mode and started doing
screens, wash screens, wash windows.
And did you have barns back then too?
We did have barns back then. Yes.
You guys think we're playing?
Yeah.
Mastitis.
Yes.
What? Colostrum.
There you go.
We're trying to tell you, stone dust. There's some real things. Manure, exactly.
Shoveling, lots of manure, scraping.
I remember scraping a lot when it would be raining. And
that's the worst.
That was the worst, because I would be scraping this shit soup, into the spreader, and it's splashing in my face, in my mouth, and you're sitting there and you got no one to complain to, because nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit.
You know you're comfortable when you just grab a scoop and throw it.
Yeah.
You know you're comfortable.
It's real. This is what it was to be a Milt. So, yeah, this is awesome hearing your story. Let me ask you about being a parent. Do you think that being a Milt affected your parenting as far as the way you look at how you parent? Would you send your kids to the Milt?
Yes.
You would? Okay. Everybody's answer is a little bit different.
Yep.
Everybody's answer is a little bit different.
Now, mind you, okay, let me just step back. I have a son. My 2 children are 18 years apart. Don't recommend that to anyone. So when my son was in 8th grade, Mike Weller, I went up with him. I took my son up there and let my son look at the school, walk around. And it was, believe it or not, it was his decision if he wanted to go or not. Clearly he didn't want to go, but yeah, I would have. If he would have said, yeah, it would have been the hardest. Don't get me wrong. I have my granddaughter right now, and I don't think I could send my granddaughter. Nothing against Milton Hershey School. It's just that.
That's why we ask.
I'm at a different place. Like when I had my son, I was a single parent. Times were difficult, blah, blah, blah. With my daughter now and my granddaughter, I could not send them to Milton Hershey because they want for nothing. And they don't need Milton Hershey.
And that's the thing.
Yes.
That's the thing. I know my mom still apologizes for sending me up there. And I try to explain to her, I get it. Stop beating yourself up. You did what was best for me.
Right.
And, at the time, that was the decision that you needed to make. Everybody's situation and scenario is a little bit different. So,
right.
I always put that out there because I know for me, I've talked to Agoe, I know Jess feels like the Warner, that being a Milt helped us be better parents, trying to fill the gap of what we didn't have, obviously I'm going to sound like an old man, but I think kids are a little bit more spoiled today, but I'd rather my kid be spoiled and know that she's loved every damn day and that she, that I'm going to be there no matter what, we're going to figure it out together. So,
like for my situation, my mom always told me it was the hardest thing she ever did.
Yeah.
And I believe that. My mom passed away 6 months after I graduated from the Milt, but I believe it's okay. I don't mean this is not a Debbie Downer.
No. It's
but she always apologized, and I truly believe I would not be the person I am today had I not gone to Milton Hershey. As much as I hated it, I owe my life to Milton Hershey, and I think that's why, it's my passion to give back to Milton Hershey because I truly believe that I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for Milton Hershey.
It's interesting hearing that you were me because I can't see you're so sweet and nice that I can't picture.
Yeah,
that.
don't talk to anybody back then.
Or don't believe
a whole
them.
Different story.
Don't believe them. All right, so we're gonna take a quick little break. We're gonna switch out. Here, what's up? This is Jack Stroman, class of '90, graduate of Milton Hershey School and co-host of the Milt Talk podcast. We dreamed of doing this show for a long time, and if you're like us, you enjoy hearing from Milts about their time at the school. Please consider making a donation on our website. Visit milttalkpodcast.com to make a donation and help us realize the dream. That's milttalkpodcast.com, milttalkpodcast.com. Thank you.
I guess I'm older now, so.
Embrace it.
Yeah, right. So, I wrote some things down, and Jackie kind of hit them towards the end about how many children you have. But one of the things I wrote down, and you probably touched on it, but I like to go in a little detail. So, what was your claim to fame in the Milt? Who were you? Were you an athlete? What was your claim to fame?
I was cheerleading and track.
Okay.
Track, hurdles. Yeah, I did the 110 and 220.
Yeah, so you got a couple of track athletes from Milton Hershey in here. Yeah, we spent a little time on the track. So who was the track coach?
Mr. Galloway was the coach, but Mr. Landenberger, I don't know if you guys
Mr.
remember.
Landenberger, yeah.
He was my coach. He really helped. I had a problem with 3-stepping. I would 4-step it, and it was a mental thing, and he taught me actually how to go alternate legs because I could not get the 3-step down.
Yeah, I got to go with that.
Mr.
Landenberger was the guy for me because for whatever reason, I wanted a pole vault. I think mostly because Munch was a pole vault. And so if he went, I'm going to try it out. It's got to be cool. And so the issue was I wasn't trying to let the pole take me. I was just trying to leap over. And so Mr. Landenberger, who really could have just said, dude, you suck. You're out of here. Landenberger went to Webb and said, hey, this guy sucks at pole vaulting. However, I think he can jump through the ceiling. And so Webb took me on as a high jumper. And somewhere along the line, I got fast. I don't know, Mr. Galloway saw it or whatever. So I don't know how fast I was, but
Did you just
decent.
do high jump? Were you just
I did everything.
Okay.
I did high jump, long jump, triple jump.
Yeah.
Ran a quarter mile and then wound up running the 800.
Right.
So
He didn't like doing chores, so he was trying to be involved.
Do whatever he
Every
could.
damn event.
listen, and yeah, because I had one of those serious dairymen, and Mr. Bushby didn't play games about that barn. He was serious about the barn because we had to be dairy. Was it the dairy? The barn of the month, barn of the year, whatever it was. And so, but with that came like roller skating trips and different parties. So we enjoyed.
They're cleaning the udder.
Oh yeah. In the morning, I used to go, and I used to get up early just to go out with him. So once I realized, you get a little peace time to yourself about 5 a.m. going out and getting the cows in and everything. So you ran track, you did cheerleading. Anything else that you can remember that kind of like set you, like kind of got you to stay at the Milt?
It would be the people that got me to stay, not the activities. I had thank God I had really Rick Francis and Webb. Yeah, they were my two go-to. Right. Like Mike Weller and I are close now, really close. But in school, if it weren't for Webb and Francis, they were my. And believe it or not, I know a lot of people don't like her, but Miss Royer, for some reason, I know, but for some reason that lady liked me, and she was nice to me. I don't know what really she probably felt sorry for me.
Different people had different relationships with
different people.
Different people.
I didn't share that relationship. Just want to say that, so we got that out in the open. I did not share that relationship with Verna, Vera, whatever. Verna. She wore a lot of wool, whatever it was. I did not
she just had a soft spot, maybe because I was just so much trouble. Thank God, because I really.
Herself, and I feel like that's what a lot of, you know what I mean?
Right.
Hearing Mike talk about Mr. Weller, Mike. I'm sorry, but hearing him talk about how he was a Milt, and then he was a coach, and then now he's the the guy who comes and tells you you're in trouble. To wear those different hats,
right?
It's challenging for him. So
right.
Yeah,
I think Pete's probably going through a lot of that. I mean, he's 8 years in now, so he's got it.
But
down,
times are different now. I mean, they used to
way
swat
different.
us, and like I remember, of course, me always getting in trouble. So instead of having to do lunch detention, I would opt out to have a SWAT, so I could have my lunch detention. So I would tape maxi pads across my butt.
Yes.
I had it down. I had it down. Yup. So when it came, but that's what I would do. Yes,
wow.
so I could have my lunchtime.
I
didn't have any maxi pads in my bathroom.
I put on 2 pair of pajamas, like thin ass pajamas. That make a difference.
Yeah, Mr. Cooper didn't play with them SWATs either.
Oh yeah.
He would just say, "You have an option. You have an option. Which one is it going to be? And I'll let you spin the wheel." Nah, just give me 5, man. I'll just take 5. So the next question I really had was, so we got to the Milt, and so when you left the Milt, how did you feel? Like, I don't know, maybe the first day, week, 30 days after you left?
So I had a very unique situation. So when I went to the Milt, on my street, there was another girl. Her name was Juanita. And her parents were the same as my parents. They were divorced, and we were considered, well, her dad was incarcerated. My dad just abandoned us. Not that one is different than the other because you're fatherless. But so after I got into Milt and Hershey, I managed to talk Juanita into coming to Milt and Hershey. I don't know why, because she was my best friend from home. And so Juanita was a year younger than me. And so long story short, she came to Milt and Hershey. She hung in there for a while, then hated it. Her mom took her out. But so when I graduated, when I go home on vacation, I had Juanita home and my girlfriend Carol. So when I went home, sure, you're kind of like all your friends are gone. When I graduated, there weren't cell phones. You dialed a phone. You were lucky if you had people's phone numbers. But so I think there was a lot going on with me at home. So it wasn't your typical, I graduated in June. My mom got cancer in August. So it was hard, but through all of that, Mr. Webb always kept in contact with me. Like, yeah. So, it was an adjustment at first. I think it's hard because we go from being around such a huge family to all of a sudden not having a big family. And I like having that family.
Sure.
So I think it's an adjustment. And not to keep talking, but
Please.
I kind of feel like that's why it's important for us to embrace younger alumni. Like the first time I met Alex Cruz, it was really funny. The Philly chapter did a thing. It was a volunteer day. It's giving back. So the school brought down students, and we worked in a pantry here in Center City. And so I met Alex. Anyway, Alex was still in high school. I tried to friend request her, and she wouldn't answer me because she thought I was her mom's friend. But we joke about that later because,
Right.
But I think it's important. It's important to engage. Like, I understand we can't be at the school that much because of background checks, but as much as we can engage with the younger alumni and let them know we are here. I'm not talking about, giving them money every 5 seconds. I'm talking about, just being a support system, knowing that there's family out there for you.
Yeah, I think that, and there's some interesting things that go along with that. And the transition from, 20 gallons of milk and chocolate milk and whatever kind of milk you want in a pantry full of whatever you want at all times, and then one day, all that's gone.
Right.
And you can't really go back because
Right.
they don't want you to go back.
Well, they make sure you don't go back.
Right. And so you get back and they're like, why are you here? And I was like, well, I just left Monday. So just figured
I was thirsty.
just get a little milk, chocolate milk. So I'm really getting at the transition of, it's like almost, I was fortunate because I had parents. My mom was around. My grandfather was still living, and they kind of, made a way for me. But it was a strange. It took me a while, and then thank God for Zachary, because we were Zachary Robinson. We were very close, still close, but we did everything together. So thank God that he was around. Our first jobs were in the same place, or very close. So. It's interesting that, how you make that transition and then what happens after that and then how you get to where we are currently.
Right.
So, and how did you land here, Because I remember I was starting to take a class or two here at Temple University. Shout out to TU that's where we're having a podcast, if anybody wants to know. Temple U. But just that process, what happens in the middle, and makes you who you are today. So, you have kids that are, you said 16, 18 years apart?
Yes.
I think my son is 32 and my daughter's 16.
Okay, yeah. So
And
your son
so
you're very similar.
I'm
yeah.
very similar, and I do not recommend that.
Me either.
I heard you say that, and I just wanted to reiterate that to anybody who was thinking about that.
Wait, and then I have a 4-year-old grandchild that I've had since she's been 12 weeks, so I don't recommend that either.
I do not recommend that either. So I want to reiterate that. I have 2 grandchildren, 2 and 7, and 1 on the way. Try and help your kids get themselves together, because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of not so much downtime taking care of grandchildren, which I don't mind, but I don't really recommend.
I better not have any grandchildren.
All right. So Warner Williams, class of 90.
Wait, is it on?
Oh, it's always on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's always on.
I
So we
didn't
got
know
all
that.
that stuff that you thought we didn't get. Yeah, this could be the extra.
New intro.
So, Agoy was starting to ask, but, how did you get your footing? You said that you had, your mom had gotten diagnosed, and you said 6 months after that, she passed, and you were kind of shell-shocked after leaving the Milt. So, was there anything that, how did you get your footing in life after the Milt?
Well, me personally, I feel like the Milt you just do what you have to do. There was no, you just do.
Right.
Like, you just plug forward. You just go. There wasn't a one thing that I can think of. I just, even to this day, like, I just deal with stuff. Whether, I don't know how to explain it,
You
but
just don't know any better. That's what you did.
you just do.
That's
Yeah.
what it was.
It's survival.
Right.
We have learned how to survive. So I think being at Milton Hershey School, thrown into a circumstance where you're with 13 other people that come from 13 other places and you learn to survive there.
Right.
Like, my personality has never been a woesy me personality. We're all different. So I am a survivor. So so it wasn't about getting my footing. I just don't know life any other way. What anything that comes to me, I have to figure it out and survive.
See, that's what I think is key, and that's what I think is a trait to Milt's, is if you can survive at the Milt, you can pretty much survive anywhere. Because like you said, you're thrown into a situation where you got 13 different personalities. Some people want to be there. Most people don't. You got these people that they call house parents that are your mom and pop, and you got to listen to them all of a sudden after, and you don't even know these people, but then you survive that.
Right.
And then you get out in the real world and, hey, I made it at the Milt, so I'm just going to keep chugging along, because if I focus too hard on that problem, I might get engrossed in that problem, and then I might not be able to get past that problem. So I think that's a big point that a lot of Milts do have. Like, they have that, well, I'm not going to focus too much on it, you know what I mean? I didn't get snacks today, maybe I can get snacks tomorrow, you know what I mean, and keep it moving. So
but my pantry's really full.
Yeah.
On that, if you ever came to my house, it's a thing. I don't know. My friends always say it. They're like, you have a lot of food. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Every year I try and focus on not wasting food,
Right.
but I always have a lot of food.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Let me see what else. So, your first day at the Milt, you knew that you were staying, right? You knew you weren't going home, especially since you got taken back. That's the funniest. You made it all the way back to Philly and then got taken back. Like, how did that make you feel? I mean, I know you said
I was just like, shoot, now I'm going to be in trouble. I got to do 30-30. I'm going to be grounded.
Did you feel some kind of way about your mom? Like, were you like, man, I made it all the way home, so she should just embrace me? And like you said, Jess, you think your mom might have let you stay because she realized how much you didn't like it and that you made it home.
I think that if that was the case, she would have been like, wow, you did what? You made it all the way home? It must be really bad there.
Right.
Like, you can stay home.
Wow.
Yeah, no. I think because my brother was he got thrown out at that point because I was in 9th grade, so he would have been in 10th grade. And no, he's 2 years, but regardless. So she had so much going on with him at home because it wasn't a good situation. Like, she was just like, you got to get back up there.
Right.
Things are not good here. This isn't a good place for you to be. And I don't remember. All I just remember is thinking what I just said. Like, oh no, I'm going to be in trouble. And I was really upset because it was Halloween and I wanted to go trick or treating. I'll never forget that.
Did you
because
ever go?
We
That's
didn't
what I was gonna
have
say, up at the Milt.
trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
No. So I was like, I had my friends convinced that we could go trick or treating if we ran away when we ran away. And
Wow. So
yeah,
they're
it
probably
didn't
still
happen.
mad at you.
They are probably, yeah.
All right, Sue. So you said you're still involved. Is there any group or organization that you want to plug right now?
Of course I
Go
do.
ahead, plug away.
So Stephanie McDonald and myself have started the It's a Milt thing. You wouldn't understand, but it's a Milt thing. And we started the group probably 2 years ago. It's a private group, closed group. We're almost at 3,000 members.
Wow.
Which we're very excited about.
And only 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's nice because the school allows the kids to be on Facebook, and a lot of the kids in the school, once the door opened with one kid, then they tell somebody else. And we have a lot of students. It's our group is a positive group. So if anybody's negative or starts anything negative, you are done. You're out. If you're reported, your post is removed instantly. without question. So, because somebody found it offensive, and 90% of the time it is offensive.
Right.
And if you continue with something, then you're just removed from the group because we're just not going to have it.
Okay.
You can go have your own group.
And it's you and Steph are the administrators?
Stephanie, myself, and we just added Tina Casey this year.
Okay.
We have some things we want to do in the future. We're right now working on some legal stuff that we will announce as soon as it's all taken care of. But our goal is to help alumni. That's what we want to do down the road. So
It's awesome.
like I said, we're working on the legal aspect, and as soon as it's legal, then we'll announce everything that we have going on. But we do fundraisers, and the fundraisers are for right now. Our fundraisers are for like any events to help offset the cost. Like we did homecoming 2 years ago. It was completely free. It was all donate the food. Everything was from fundraisers that we did. So anytime we're doing fundraisers or something, the money goes right back to alumni. It's not nothing is for our personal consumption.
Nice.
So
Very
yeah.
nice. We might be talking to you because we have me and Jess are in. Well, you knew when we did it last.
25.
At our 25th. So now we have to do our 30th.
Yeah, definitely.
So
we want to do
we
something.
have
We've been
to-
calling around hotels, so we could talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
All right.
please.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
we're.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else you want to plug besides it's a Milt thing? That's what it's called, right?
Yes.
It's a Milt thing.
Yes.
Okay. What up, Steph?
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
No.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Let me see if he's got anything else.
I'm really bad unless you're asking me questions. And then I can go off on a tangent.
What wasn't that? Yeah. So you said you're involved and you know some Milts that are there now. And I know back when we went to the Milt, and even before me, you were there. It was a tough transition from the Milt life into the real world. Do you think the Milt has done better with that? And what do you think what do you think helped do that?
Well, you know what I think, honestly, and you helped me a couple years ago. I would like to go back to when we did like the picnic in FDR Park. One year we did it for college students that were in the area. So we had that big picnic, and somehow we've gotten away from stuff like that. So I think it's important. People can see you on Facebook. I mean, you're not on it, but that's how I'm out there. But I feel like it's important for the kids to understand there is a network out here. If they can find one person, and it's happening. Again, you're not on Facebook, but
I'm on Instagram.
okay, I forget. And I can't think off the top of my head. But there's a young alumni, 2000. I'd have to go on and look. Stephanie would know. Anyway, he reached out because he was homeless. He was living in a shelter with his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah. So he posted it. Well, first he messaged me, and then I kind of messaged Stephanie, and then Stephanie took the ball and ran with it. But I think that's important. Like if they get used to it's a Milt thing and understand that if we can help them, we will help them. And again, it just, I don't like handouts, but this guy was in a homeless shelter. And so long story short, with a group of alumni working together and nobody just handing out money, he found assistance, he found this, he found that. He's in an apartment with his girlfriend
Very
and their
nice.
2 children.
Oh, that's
So
awesome.
they're the kind of things that I think that we should do more.
Okay.
I understand like one girl's car broke down just recently.
Yes.
She's young. She's very young. Another alumni saw it. He drove over there. He helped her fix her car. That's the networking I like.
right.
I mean, we're Milts. So
Right.
there are Milts that want handouts and there are Milts that want stuff for free and I get that because it does happen. I mean, the day the guy posted, he didn't want to post about himself on Facebook that he was homeless. I made a post not through my name but through It's a Milt thing talking about this guy. I forget the class. But then like 2 hours later somebody from his class makes a post, yeah, I'm short $500 this month. for whatever. I have
Right.
bills to pay. Now it's getting confusing because now
Right.
we have 2 kids from the same class. I'm not saying the guy didn't need $500, but if you need 500, we got somebody over here that's homeless.
Right.
So you got to kind of weigh the scale and
Right.
be respectful of others. And so I think going back to, is it better now? I think social media has made it an easier transition. I think cell phones have made it an easier transition. The kids in the school being allowed to have cell phones that are now connecting with alumni.
Right.
I think that's going to make an
Well,
easier
I think
transition.
what was key, like you said, is that there's current Milts that are able to reach out to past Milts,
Right.
former Milts now.
Right.
So they're already making that connection. So once
Right.
they are out of the Milt, they already have that connection.
Right.
So I think that's
exactly.
key too. And I don't know if there was too much of that. It's like you said, the social media aspect of it is huge, and cell phones is huge too. So like we just want to let everybody know, all the Milts, like whether you went there for a week or you went there for 13 years, man, like we're here. There's a network for us.
Right.
Just
it's
reach
so
out.
important because, like Alex Cruz will tell you, she didn't know. Like she didn't realize there was a whole. I mean, she knew there was alumni, but she, she'd be one to interview. She, we embraced her, and she, next thing you know, she's vice president of the Philly chapter, and I just think it's all about. Putting egos aside and just embracing one another, whether you're older, younger, black, white, Hispanic, Chinese. It doesn't and Milton Hershey's like that. We don't see skin color going to Milton Hershey. So I think that's important.
Awesome. Sue Grippen. Sue.
I'm glad you came.
I'm glad I came too.
I hope you come back.
Yes.
We are open to suggestions.
I'm going to get you a list of names.
Please do.
I'm going to get you a list of suggested names.
And you know what? Anybody out there, if you got questions or stories about Sue, or
Nice stories.
only the good stories. Maybe you remember a story she told a little bit differently. Reach out to us. This is going to be. We want this to be fun, and we want this to be about Milts. And even if you didn't go to Milton Hershey School, and some of our stories resonate with people, and you can relate to what we're talking about, please get involved. Please reach out. Thank you, Sue, so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Follow us on Instagram at Milt_podcast, or Facebook, Milt_pod, Twitter, Milt_podcast, and at email, miltpodcast@gmail.com.
We encourage you to follow us on our social media outlets and chime in and comment, ask questions, help us remember names, places, events. Just give feedback. But most of all, just get engaged. We want to hear from you.
Your mom's already there.
Just walk up.
So, like Goldie was saying,
No, they're not talking into it. Yeah, can you just switch?
You got to
over?
switch
Just
seats.
switch. What do you think you're doing? You spend a lot of
It's
time.
on the other side.
I'm talking to the back side.
Oh my
You
God.
sit right
This is
here
first
and don't do
rodeo.
what you want to do, all right? Listen,
God, Warner.
stop being a
Man,
milk.
Warner, stop acting like this your first
Stop
time.
being a milk. Now, you want to talk into that thing. So you want to get that right up in here.
Get it right up in your grill.
Right there.